The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to this afternoon's Gold Group webinar with your host, Willie Miranda.
Good afternoon, Gold members, and thank you very much for coming on today's call. We are already, 3 weeks into January, and still no snow here in upstate New York. I think we had about 3 or 4 inches all year, which has been a great season for us on the real estate front because we've had a lot more buyers out there looking at homes, and it was a great close for 2015, as I mentioned last time, and looks like January's started at a really good start here in 2016. So looking forward towards a very good, strong first quarter coming into this year. Today we switched up a little bit. We had some great feedback from the last webinar that we did, going over goals and goal setting, and I probably received 10 or 12 goals that were emailed to me, and they were really good stuff, real good stuff, and I congratulate those that actually participated on that and actually took the time to fill out, get their goals down on paper, and put some action steps in place to achieve those goals. And that's really the first start of it. So if you haven't done it, it's not too late. You definitely want to, and even go back to that webinar. I did send on a replay link for that webinar, and again, some great feedback on it. But some of the feedback that I received over the last couple of months is that people love the webinars, but sometimes they have questions, and sometimes they forget to email after, or they want to hear my opinion versus just getting a written email back. And I don't mind, either way is fine, but I thought that being on other conference calls and being on other webinars, I found that questions and answers are always good to address every now and then. So we did send out a link today to get some questions and answers from some of our members, which I want to thank those that did participate. Some were repetitive that we received, and some were a little bit different. So I picked a handful of them. I will answer every one of them. For sure, but I do want to address a few of them on today's call because I thought they were pretty good and definitely something that we want to take a look at today. The other thing too, I know we had a lot of people requesting information on my book. I'm going to give you a link at the end that you can go to get a free chapter if you want to get that. But if you want to get an actual physical copy of the book, you could just go on to Amazon.com to get your own copy. All right, so with that, I'm just going to jump into today's call, and again, thank you very much for the questions that were given. The first question on here is from Mark Good. Mark's down in St. John's, Florida, and Mark puts on here that he's in the top 5 on Realtor.com for reviews and testimonial amongst 6,000 agents in my market. I can have a link on my email, or you already have a link on your email signature. Was wondering how best to leverage that. Using a USP, unique selling proposition, or some other way? I think it's a great question, Mark, and I think that you have to be careful when using it as a USP because, as Craig mentioned to us many years ago, clients want to know, customers want to know, prospects want to know, the WIFM, what's in it for me, and it's got to be something that's compelling enough to have people to actually want more information from you or deal with you. And just saying that you're in top 5 of 6,000 doesn't mean that much, right? The YF, what's in it for me is not really there for the clients. Just if you think about the guarantee sale program, or we'll pay you $1,000 if we don't sell your home in a number of days, those type of things. That's really what the consumer wants. So, but I think it's a great stat. I think it's everything that you on your email signatures, business cards, mail outs that you do. You can even put a flyer in your mailers that you send out. Postcards, whatever you do, I definitely would put that on there because really that ranks you amongst the top 1% of realtors in your area. So the one thing that I came up with, which I thought was a great idea, I was looking online. There's 2 ways that I would use this, Mark. I would definitely do a press release. I think that's a great information for local newspapers. You could send it out also to the local news media as far as like radio, TV, local stations like that. It's free PR. It's free press to you. And to get your name up in lights, you may even get a free interview where they'll actually spotlight you and actually use you as an authority in your field on the real estate market. So let's say, that's one way to do it and actually get out there as a press release, right? So a press release going out to all those different media sources is the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I would make that an editorial. you make that an editorial that you're actually sending out to say, local St. John real estate agent it meets 1% of all realtors in the St. John, Florida area, right? That could be something that you can actually put on there as an editorial, tells a little bit about you, and then giving them something of value, which would be either a free market analysis or a free list of homes, but making that pretty much the headline that you're out there and you're the 1%, you're giving out these free market evaluations, something like that. But if you go online, if you Google, go to top 1% realtor, real estate agent, you'll see some examples of some editorial ads and also some press releases out there, and be able to really leverage that. But that's a great stat, and I congratulate you, Mark, on actually reaching that, because getting testimonials is so important, especially if you're looking to work by referral. There's so many people that go online. I think the last stat that I saw was 94% of prospects go online first before even talking to a real estate agent. And a lot of you can get the Zillow free ads and actually get reviews there. Realtor.com is also a place that you can get reviews on. And you want to take advantage of that, even on your Facebook pages. Anytime you make a sale, anytime you're working with a client that's happy with you, send them that link and say, hey, would you mind just saying a few words on my website? I know some agents even go out of their way to actually write what happened in the transaction between them and the customer, and say, hey, would this be okay if I use these stats, where I sold your home in 9 days at 97% of asking price? Would that be okay if I put that on the link here? Or can you please post it so it's coming off their email address or off their IP address so that it goes on there as a real testimonial and not something that agents are putting on there, fake. So those are the type of things that you definitely want to do. The more of those that you get, the better. And believe me, people are looking at them. And if you ever get an actual testimonial that comes on there that's negative, even more reason for you to get more and more positive testimonials to bury that. Because I think in today's time you're going to find you could see some of the best restaurants out there in the world, and you'll go online and you'll see, unfortunately, some negative reviews. Sometimes it's the competitors, sometimes it's just people you just can't make happy. So you're going to have that, and I think the general public is starting to realize that you are going to see that from time to time. But if you only have 2 reviews and both of them are negative or one of them are negative, it's not going to make you look too good, especially when there's other real estate agents in your market that have 20, 30, 40, 100 testimonials on there that show very positive results with them. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting those reviews. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question, Mark. And like I said, great feedback there, and congratulations on your success with getting those testimonials. All right, the second question I received on here was from Karen. And Karen, I know you and I have talked a few times at the conferences, and I sent you some information in the past. You're building your business by referral, doing a great job, and really hard worker. And this is a great question. This is something that has come up time and time again. One of the biggest challenges for agents in their biggest really their biggest heel, their Achilles heel, is that you have to be able to do lead generation. You have to be able to convert these leads. I think we do a very good job generating leads. It's very easy to do. Craig's got some great systems in place to generate those leads. But if you look on step 3 of the quantum lead process, Craig talks about the actual conversion, right? Using those scripts and dialogues to convert those leads over. And unfortunately, stats show that so many agents just give up. Some agents don't even call the leads, believe it or not. And I've actually had coaching members actually admit, geez, I do a follow-up with them and, hey, how'd that ad do? Ad did great, pulled 12 leads. Okay, great. Out of those 12 leads, how did you make out? Well, I haven't called them yet. Well, what do you mean you didn't call them yet? Well, they just sent the information. I mailed it to them, so I'm going to give them a couple weeks and call them back. Big mistake, okay? You need to get on top of that. I'm going to share with you a little bit here on some stats. And I've probably shown some of you this before, and it's on our referral agent machine as well. But check out that first stat. 48% of salespeople never even follow up with a prospect. That's crazy. And then on here, 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. I'm not going to read every one of these, but if you see on here, only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. And on the bottom here, you'll see that 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So I don't know, probably about 10 years ago or so, I got this information and saw some of these stats that were shared by a top agent with Remax, and he shared these stats with me. And we talked about leads and lead follow-up, and how many times do you actually call a lead back before you just say, you know what, this person's wasting my time and they're not interested and it's a bad lead. And I discovered that giving leads out to my agents way back, where I would give an agent 10 leads and say, okay, here's 10 leads to go ahead and work. And then a week later they come back to me and say, hey, you got any more leads? I said, well, what happened to the last 10? Well, I'm working with one was a good lead, the other 9 were terrible. And when I started, I just used to say, okay, they're terrible, here's 10 more leads. And we did that for a number of years. And I remember being in a mastermind group with a lot of the Diamond group and also in the Platinum group. And we started going back and taking a look at all those leads over the last 12 months and where they actually ended up. And did those leads actually buy or sell their homes, right? So we compared it to the MLS and found out that the good news was they were really good leads. The bad news is that they had listed and sold with other agents. And bought with other agents. So we wanted to put a better system in place. So with that, I developed a 3-4-12 because I wanted to make sure that we were contacting those leads right away. And I know that a lot of agents, again, fall into this trap of only calling leads 2 or 3 times, because the thing that I learned many, many years ago with Craig is that he said that, when you're growing your team, agents want appointments, they don't want leads, and they're not going to babysit and maintain those leads unless they're ready to go now. And it's going to be a huge hole in a boat if you're not going to be able to convert those leads properly. So I'm just going to show you a quick screen here, see if I can pull it up, which is the 3-4-12. And let me see, I know I just put it on here. This is the plan that we use. And this is actually, this is off our agent office, but we've put this over into our top producer. But if you see on here, the 3-4-12 system makes sure that we're contacting these 18 times, right? 18 times over about a 13-month period. So if you go through this, what we do is that as soon as that lead comes on the internet, or as soon as that lead is hits our website, we want to call that lead within the first 5 minutes. And if you want some great information on that, just Google MIT study, MIT phone sales study, anything like that with MIT, and they have an actual report and an actual report that they did that showed the best time of the days to call, the best hours to call during the day, and they really broke it down where they said in the first 5 minutes it's so important for you to contact that person, because you're going to catch them still on their computer. They're going to be near a phone, hopefully. But your chances of converting that lead dramatically drop after the 5-minute mark. And after 1 hour, it even drops even further. So does that mean that every lead is bad? No, absolutely not. But it does mean that you have to contact these leads sooner than later. And what's changed now over the years, what I found is that a lot of people want speed, right? They want speed of the internet. They want that information quick. And really the first agent to contact them is really usually the first agent that they deal with. So what we did is we implemented this 3-4-12. So every internet lead that we get, we want to launch this plan so that in the first 72 hours, we're making at least 3 calls or an email to that prospect. Most of the time, we're going to have a good email address. Most of the time, you'll have a good phone number, but more likely, the email addresses will be more accurate than the phone numbers. So you want to make sure that you're reaching out to them. One thing that we've added on here as well, Karen, I don't know if you're doing this, but if you have their cell phone number, because now everyone's pretty much on the cell, and texting them and just letting them know that, hey, just got your information, thank you so much, and do you have a few minutes that we could talk to make sure I'm sending the right information, right? And that's what you want to send to them. And you're going to get the open rate on a text is 100% versus an email that might be 25%. In calling, hands down, is the best. You can't replace a phone call. The phone call is the best way, but if you can't get a hold of them on the phone, I would definitely try to text them next and then email them. And then if that doesn't work, then you want to send them a personal note or something in the mail to try to get a hold of them. I've even had some agents go door knocking on some really good listings where they'll actually go and hand deliver a free report to them. But again, this system, especially in the Quantum Leap system, the majority of the leads that you're going to get have very good emails, and it's really just a matter of contacting these people on a systematic basis, which is 3-4-12 does. And if I go through this in the first 72 hours, making those calls, making those email attempts, if I still don't get a hold of them, then I'm going to go ahead and launch it now every week for 4 weeks. So if you notice here, the first 3 days I'm calling every day, but then after that I'm just going to do 1 call a week, and I'm going to switch it up. So if today is Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern and they're not home, then maybe next week I call them, maybe Thursday morning. Maybe if they don't pick up the phone next Thursday morning, I switch them to Saturday morning and try to get them on the weekend. But more than likely, if you keep trying to call them at the same time, they're working or they're not going to be available. Chances are they're not going to be available the next time you call them at the same time. So now you're going to call them four times over the next 4 weeks. If you still don't get a hold of them, and that's 7 attempts now, now you're going to put them on a more of a longer-term follow-up, which is 1 call each and every month, so that you don't drop that lead. So at the end of that first year or 13 months, you got 18 calls that you actually got out to them, 18 texts, 18 emails, whatever method that you're using. Your chances of converting that lead are much, much higher. And it's something that I think that most agents don't do, and you really need to implement that in on your leads. Because one of the things that Craig taught us a long time ago is that 80% of the leads that come to us are down the road leads, right? We found them so early in the process. They raised their hand, they saw our editorial, they saw our postcard, they saw our classified ad. They want the information, but they're just not ready yet. And a lot of these calls that you get them on the phone and you talk to them, they may say, well, I'm not ready yet, maybe next year, or maybe in 6 months, or maybe in 3 months. But about 10 or 15% are going to be more of your now business, and those are the ones that you're going to convert now to an appointment. But moving forward, you want to make sure that you're keeping in touch with them that way. So I think the other thing that Karen, you had mentioned on here is do you leave them a message, right? And that's been the big question out there now over the years. I remember when I first started with Craig always said, and he still believes today, don't leave a message because they're not going to call you back. And that is true. A lot of times these leads won't call you back. You don't want to leave a long message. Again, if you find them too early in the process, they're not going to call you back. So one of the things that I've done with my inside sales reps is that we want to make sure that because of the internet and because of the speed of the internet now, we do leave a quick message that just says, hey, this is Robin at Miranda Real Estate Group. Can you please give me a call back, and gives a number. That's it. She doesn't go into why, doesn't go into you're on our website, doesn't go into all that, because if people start hearing all that and hear this long message, they're just going to delete it. So just real quick, real conversational, but I figured we already made the call and went to voicemail. We just leave a quick message. But again, you have to do what you feel is right for you. That's what we do in our office. I talk to a lot of other successful members that still believe that they shouldn't leave a message. And I don't think there's one right or wrong way, but it's definitely what you feel comfortable with. But I would definitely leave a message on here. And I think you had on here, what do you do over the next 16 calls? Well, you just follow the same format. The goal is getting them on the phone and converting that lead to an appointment. Or if not to an appointment, the second thing you want to make sure you do is that you have a future follow-up in there. Making sure that you have future follow-ups on all your leads are very important. Or the third is you're just going to delete them, right? You get them on the phone, they tell you their sister's an agent, they're not going to use anyone else but her, or they are an agent, whatever the situation may be, it's just not a good lead, you just delete it. And then some questions that I get on this that Karen didn't ask was, well, what happens at the end of the 13 months? What do you do with it at that point? At that point, we'll take a look at it, see where it's at, see if it's an area that we really want to be penetrating ourselves in, and we'll launch it for another 12 months. We'll stay on that lead until they say no or they pick up, but we definitely want to keep that lead in some type of a follow-up sequence. So great question, Karen. Hopefully that answered your question, and hopefully that was valuable information for anyone else that has that question themselves or face that same type of dilemma when calling back these leads. All right, this next one here is how to secure a future listing. This is from one of my agents, Stephanie Ciampolillo, rookie agent. Actually, she's been with us a couple years now, doing a great job, working hard, building up her database. And one of the challenges that she was finding herself, if you read through these emails, that she would go on these listing appointments and they weren't quite ready. She'd show up, do the presentation, do everything, tell them exactly what they needed to do, and then they would go back and say, well, you know what, we still have to, we have to paint, or we're going to take that recommendation, like you said, and replace that carpeting, or maybe someone had some paperwork needed to be done if it was an estate sale or something like that. And it says on here that usually they need about a month or so to get ready to list her house, but then she's lost them when they, because they're still not ready. She'll call them back and find out down the road that she actually lost them because they went somewhere else. And what do you do? And her question is really, what can I do to secure these future listings? So I thought it was a great question, and some of the things that I've suggested to agents, because I've experienced it myself, is that it really does stink when you sit down there, you go through everything, you go through your presentation, you tell them exactly what they need to do for their home. You get into pricing, so you kind of give an idea of what the price should be on the home, and then a couple weeks later you find out that they call you or you call them and they say, geez, I'm sorry, but I was at work and my friend knew someone and we're going to use them, right? And then they list at the same price and do all the same things that you told them to do, but you didn't get the listing. So what I said to Stephanie, and this was on one of our Monday Mastermind calls, was that when you're dealing with these people and you're going through that, when we get done with the marketing side of the presentation, we don't even get into price until we know we can move forward. In other words, are we the right, am I the right agent and company to get your home sold for you based on all the information that you saw was on marketing? And if they say yes, and you know what, yeah, we are, and we want to get our home on the market, then I'll go into pricing and everything else because I want to close on that listing. But if they say no, not no, but if they say, well, you know what, we want to do this, we want to do that, and we're probably not going to be ready to put the house on the market for a few weeks, then I'll hold back on pricing. I may give them a large range based on some of the material that I have, but I always say, you know what, now that I've been through your home, I'm going to go back and do some more research to get the best information I can on your home, just to make sure that we get a more accurate price on the home. So I'll give them a large range, within a $50,000 range, right? So if their home is worth $300,000, I might say, well, it's lands between $275,000 to $325,000, somewhere in there. I'll go back and do some research and give you a better idea of what it should go for. But at that time, I'll always ask them before I leave. I want to leave with some type of commitment from them. I'll say, based on everything that we did, you're ready to get your home on the market. Well, we want to definitely paint those 2 rooms and get a new carpet. So at that time, I'll say to them, all right, great, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, but I'll say, how long do you anticipate that taking to get those rooms painted and get that carpet done? And, sometimes they'll just, I don't know, a couple of weeks, I get this week off, or I can call Henry, the painter, come over, and et cetera, et cetera. But usually they'll give you some type of a date. And I'll take my calendar right out and I'll say, 2 weeks, puts us to the, the 5th February or whatever that date is that when you think you'd be able to get it on the market? And a lot of times they'll say, oh yeah, definitely by that date we'll be able to get it on the market. So at that point is when I say to them, all right, awesome. Here's some vendors that I would recommend. I have a couple, we have our business directory that we have that can help you through the process. And what I like to do is, because there's a lot of marketing that we're going to do to get your home sold, to get the right buyer in here, that I want to make sure that we get marketing on your home right away. But I know that we have to wait a couple weeks until you get what you need to get done. Why don't we go ahead and take the next 10 or 15 minutes, go over to paperwork real quick, so that I can start pre-marketing your property to my agents and some of my buyers in waiting. And I'll just go ahead and put a date up there, February 5th or February 15th. It doesn't matter if you don't have the rooms done by then. I can always cross it out and have you initial it, and we can move the date forward. But at least it'll give me an opportunity and some time to start pre-marketing your home, so that we can make sure that we can get it out there to all the possible sources that are out there to get your home sold for top dollar. And I've been very successful at getting them to agree to that at that point. Very successful with it. And I just tell them, I said, this could be canceled at any time. There's no obligation. But it's something about them signing up at that point is where the commitment falls in place. Because now what happens is that same seller will go to work, talk to their friend at the desk next to them, tell them, yeah, the realtor came over and we're going to be selling our home. And when that person says, oh, geez, you should talk to my neighbor or my sister, my brother, whoever is a real estate agent, they can give you a good deal, she could say, no, we already signed up, right? Or if a realtor calls them, it's an expired listing or something like that, and all of a sudden they get a phone call and they say, hey, we want to come over and talk to you about listing your home. I want that seller to say, geez, we already listed, we already signed with the other agent. All right, so that's helped me tremendously in the past, and I'm sure it will help Stephanie with her dilemma moving forward to put that data out there, future effective. I already mentioned not giving them the price, right? So we can go ahead and do some more research. But the other thing is, and Stephanie puts it on there, that she checked in with them weekly if they needed anything, or make sure that they called their vendor that they were saying that they were going to do. But even popping by and stopping by and seeing how things are going. If it's in your area, in your neighborhood, whatever, stop by. Hey, I just want to stop by, see how things are going. Did you get the carpet done or whatever? Okay, great. Looking forward to get your home sold, and just want to see how things were going. So very important, and whatever you can do to help them and assist them in the transaction, the more valuable you are, and the better that's going to be for them getting their home on the market sooner than later. Okay, doing a one-on-one with one of my agents, Christy Center. She's been with me for a number of years, and she's got this particular buyer that she's had that she showed about 30 properties to. And she's just frustrated because they're looking for a certain a certain home that they wanted. They're from out of the area, so when they come in, they want to see 10, 15 homes at a time. And she just couldn't really find it. She had a couple close bites on it, but it just kind of fell through. And she was a little frustrated by it, and she wanted to know, how do we get out there? How do I find the perfect house for them? They want to live in a specific area, and here's what I'm looking for. So I said, well, why don't we start utilizing the features that we have on Facebook, and take the Altamont and Gildon area, which is the two areas that she was looking at. I said, go to your business page and just tell the world what you're looking for, right? Tell them that you have this family, and if you read on here on the screen, it says on here, attention Altamont Gildon homeowners, big bold letters. I have a family of 6 from West Virginia, extremely interested in living in the Altamont Gildon areas. My clients are pre-approved and ready to move. They're flexible with close dates and are looking for a home with at least 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 3,000 square feet with privacy, acreage, mature wooded landscape, etc. If you know of anyone, or if you or anyone you know are considering making a move in the next 2 to 4 months and know of a home that might meet my client's needs, please contact me. Puts the phone number and her email address on there. Now, I thought it was a lot of information. It really, as Craig would say, narrows down the people that would actually qualify for that. I might have maybe just looking for a home, 4-bedroom home is probably as much as I would have probably put in there. But she wanted to be very specific and not waste her buyer's time. So she posted this, sent it out on Boost. I think it was like a $20 boost. Got it out to a number of people that have Facebook and goes onto their news feeds. And within 2 days, she had 3 people that called her, 2 that wanted to definitely list her home. Christy said it wasn't really what her clients probably would have liked, but they were interested in actually having her come out and take a look at it. And then there was one home that really she felt that would be a good match for her buyers. And she was going to go out to see them. So I don't know what the outcome has been yet on that, but it was very quick. It was a $20 post, and she got it out there, and people saw it. People saw it within her community. And that's what sellers want, right? Sellers want us to market their homes, and buyers want us to work hard to get those listings that are not even on the market yet. So this is a great way for you to set yourself apart from your competition, is by utilizing Facebook and using that social media to pick them up. And it's really easy to do, and we can have a future call on actually doing that. Actually, I'll even have Christy come on the call to give you a little idea of what she does. But we have a few agents that are really good on social media at my company, and they're doing a great job with it. And a lot of their business is coming from doing these targeted Facebook posts in certain key locations. So something that I wanted to share with you guys, and I thought was a great piece for this call. All right, next question. I need to hire an ISA. What is the best way to pay them and train them? Mike McDonald. Great question. Actually, we just put on a new inside salesperson in my office, and I've had inside salespeople over the years that we've paid all different ways, right? We've done commission only. We've done where we've just given them a 90-day stipend. In other words, to give you an example, like if you wanted to, say, pay $400 a week over 12 weeks, so that would be $4,800 that you would put aside in a kitty for them and pay them $400 a week, and then at the end of 90 days, they would go on commission only at that time. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be to, like what we do, is we pay by the hour. And depending on their experience, it could be anywhere from $10, $12, $15 an hour. And that's how much they would get per hour for coming in and making the phone calls. They have to be licensed, and when they're licensed, they can also be eligible for actually getting a commission on the deals that they actually close on. So we paid anywhere between 5 to 10%, depending on the person. So in other words, if we pay a higher base, we'll pay them 5%. If we pay them a lower base, say $10 or $12 an hour, then maybe we'll give them more of an incentive at 10% on their actual pay. So that's how we pay them. And I like them to work different hours, right? I want them coming in, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday is just not going to cut it. People are home, the best time to call, and if you're on that MIT study, you'll see the golden hours are around 4 to 6, and believe it or not, between 8 and 9 in the morning. For the most part, we have her, unless she's needs to get out of work earlier that day, she'll come in earlier, but most of the time we really have her hitting that later hour, coming in from like 10 to 6, maybe 11 to 7. But on Fridays is the worst day to make phone calls, right? Everyone wants to just get their week done. They're excited about TGIF. They want to get out of the office. And what we found with Fridays is that we have her come in the morning and usually do a half day, and then she comes in on Saturdays from 10 to 2, and that's probably the best day for making phone calls, from 10 to 2 on Saturdays. But again, we don't want to work in every weekend, so she rotates it. She will work 9 to 5 on Friday, but we use that second part of the day to make calls on the new leads that are coming in, some follow-up calls, but also that's when she does a lot of her administrative follow-up work as well. So that's how we pay them, and that's the hours that they work. As far as training them, it's always best to have someone that has phone skills or had prior telemarketing experience. That's always, I feel, better, because they know what they're walking into. We want to make sure you're hiring someone that doesn't have call reluctance. And before I even hired someone, I would have them just come on for a week or two and just give them a list of old leads and say, here's the script, and let's go and see what you can do, just to see if they're comfortable making those phone calls. My inside salesperson does well over 100 calls per day, and in the last 3 weeks now, she's booked somewhere in the neighborhood of about 25, 26 appointments. So she's doing a great job, and we want to make sure that we're giving her enough leads to call on, and that she's being able to really make the money that she wants to make on the commission. Because really, you have a base, but you can make a lot more on commission, and the sky's the limit. So that's what she's very motivated by. But what we did with her is, for the first week when she did work for us, after we knew that she was able to make phone calls and that she would be good at that and didn't have call reluctance, we had her listening to audio and going through. Todd Walters on the Platinum site has a great like a 6 or 7 series inside sales training that we had her go through to make sure she did that first. And then I actually had her go through and listen to all the Thursday calls with James McDonald, and had her listen to like 10 of those calls. And after probably about the third day, she's just like bouncing to get on the phone. That's how excited she was about making these calls. And as soon as we put her on, she made 5 appointments that first day. So making those calls and listening to those calls first is very important. Having her follow the universal callback script is what we have her use. And she's got great tonality, listening to them on the phone. Having them listen to you make calls is very important, and how you follow up and what you say to them, and going back and forth is very important. So that's how you want to train them, and I think that's really the best way, and just monitor their calls. I have Ring Central, which is what I use, so she calls from Ring Central. I think it's a few $100 a year or whatever we pay for it, but all of her calls are recorded. So I can go back in and listen to her calls. We critique them, see what she could have done better, said differently, and we go from there. And so far, it's really nice to have someone that has phone experience and has a friendly phone voice. So hopefully, Mike, that answered your question. And I'll move on to the next one here. Now, if you have a question, there is a question box that you can type in, or if you have any feedback on today's call, if it was helpful, I'd love to hear your feedback, and you can just type it in the question box. That would be great. All right, Barb Miller. I need to hire a buyer agent, but I'm concerned to show them everything I do in fear they'll go out on their own, taking everything I taught them to use in their own business. All right, so I use this, and only because, Barb, and hopefully you're on the call, is because I've heard this, I don't know, 3 times I think this year so far with agents I've been talking to about building teams or that had small teams already and don't want to give them the support and training that they really should be getting. And I'd be lying to you if I said that I didn't have some of those fears myself early on building my team. And out of all the years building a team and probably having 300 agents through my team and through my agency over the years, I would say there was only one person that I remember ever printing out the list of the database to bring with them. And it was only because they didn't know how to use Agent Office to just get their own, and they printed out the whole database. The long and short with that person was out of the business within 6 months, never did anything with those leads, never did anything with them here, so why would they do something with them somewhere else? And you can't be in fear. And the reason why I say that is because in order for you to grow as a true team, you got to be on the same team, right? And you have to be able to help your agents, help your team members grow within your business. And that's the culture that we have here at Miranda Real Estate Group, where we want our agents to build their business within our business. And the agents here help each other out because there's more than enough business that's out there for everyone. And there's no reason to feel that you're stealing leads or taking things from other people or have this great idea that you don't share. We have a call every Monday morning, and we share ideas on what's working, what challenges are out there, what's not working. But the agents, and that's really the culture that we've had here, is that we always share. And the reason for that is because this right here, Barb, will tie you down. You will never grow a team this way in fear of someone else taking business from you or leaving and setting up shop. Will they do that? Yes. People have done that in the past. And I've seen that happen in other teams as well, where all of a sudden you come in one day or you go on vacation, you come back, and 3 of your agents left and they went on their own and made up their own team, and maybe took, got into Zillow, or maybe got a market leader account like you did, or a Commissions Inc. account. And I got to say, it may happen, but you just have to, move on, get some other people that are going to be loyal to you and dedicated to you, and don't fear that, because that will hold you back from being a very successful agent, and you will never grow your team or be able to manage people if you're going to be in that fear all the time. So, you definitely want to have some good contracts. You definitely want to have, a contract that says that those leads are your leads, and that if they leave and they're working with that lead, they're going to have to pay you a commission. And I've seen that happen also, where it's tough. And when you give someone a lead and they're working with that person for 3, 4, 5 months, and then all of a sudden that person leaves and goes to another company, chances are you're not going to get that lead, because first of all, probably don't even know who the person is. They don't know who you are. And people do business with who they know, like, and trust. And if they know that agent, they like that agent, trust that agent, you have no shot getting that person. So we have independent agreements that we have that state in there that, if you do take a lead that we give you and the company gave you, then there is a referral fee that's given back. And you can make that referral fee whatever number you want. It could be a flat dollar amount, but it definitely needs to be in an independent contractor agreement. So hopefully it helped you out, and hopefully it doesn't hold you back from hiring other team members in the future. All right, with that, Andrea, I can't see the screen yet because I'm in the presentation mode, but do we have any questions at all that need to be answered that you can see yet?
There are no questions in the queue.
Okay, great. We'll keep going. I got a few more here. Okay. Scott Johnson, I recently became a broker and was wondering what's the best way to track income and expenses. What software do you recommend I use as a new broker? Okay, so as a new broker, I felt, and I still feel today, the best software it was QuickBooks, right? And it still is, I believe, QuickBooks. You can get it online for a very cheap amount, and it does everything that you need. Most CPAs, most accountants love QuickBooks and use it very openly with a lot of their clients. And I think it's something that I would definitely do as a broker. You definitely want to do that. It amazes me, and I just talked to a broker 3 weeks ago about the same question, where he was just using an Excel file in a paper format, like in a binder, to keep track of everything. And it just was a nightmare. Receipts were all over the place. And at the end of the year, he knew that he just wasn't even taking the proper write-offs that he should, and spent a lot more money than what he was able to show because he just didn't have anything organized. So QuickBooks actually does that. And in chapter 10 of my book, I go over a lot of these different things and how to set it up as an agent, but also a broker. But what are of the things that you really need to have set up for yourself? And I think I have a page here. Yep, I have a couple things from that book. First of all, find an accountant to work closely with. Make sure you keep them informed about what you're doing for your year, making sure that, if you made more money than prior year, that you let them know that, because that was something early on that I did where I had a very good year, where we doubled our business. I mean, we went from 100 sales to over 200 sales the next year, but I was still paying the same quarterly estimates. And by the next year, when I went to sit with my accountant, he said, hey, good news is that you had a great year. Bad news is that you owe, I don't know, it was like $7,000 or $80,000 that I had to come up with within a couple days to pay the IRS. So you want to make sure that you're keeping very closely, and at least on a quarterly basis, meeting with an accountant and bookkeeper to do that. Next one, set up a business account separate from your personal account. Don't want to commingle a lot of those funds. Business account's very important, your operating account, to have that separate. And I did a whole thing on this, and you can go back a few webinars back where I showed you how to actually go through of setting up a business account, tax account, and a savings account for your taxes, but then also going into your personal account, putting money away for living on 70% of your pay, putting money away for retirement, putting money away for reserves and trips that you may do, or different things you want to do personally, and those type of things. So very important that you set your accounts up separately. The next one on here, have a business credit card that you only buy things for your business. Don't put stuff on your personal, Capital One card and say, oh, that's for business, that's personal, that's for business. It's going to get confusing, you're going to lose stuff, and it's just not the proper way of doing it. Just have a totally, completely separate credit card for that. I have 3 separate credit cards now for coaching, insurance, and also for my real estate business. Don't use cash. Always use a credit card. And it's great. You can rip off a receipt and bring it, to your accountant and saying, here, this is something I spent money-wise or cash-wise. But don't do that. Nowadays, you can use pretty much credit cards on anything that you do out there. You want to make sure that you have that. It's easier to track, and it can download right into QuickBooks for you automatically right from your credit card statement. So you don't even have to enter those in if you don't want. So what else on there? And I talked about the same thing. I probably paid more to the government than I really needed to do because I wasn't able to show the write-offs on especially a lot of those cash expenses that I had early on. Take 25% out of each check that you receive and put it away in a tax account. Everyone's going to be different. Check with your CPA. I'm not an accountant, and I'm not telling you that's the right amount for you. But for me, it was based on the write-offs that I had. Some of you might be less. Some of you might be more. But every check that you get, just because you get a $5,000 check here, doesn't mean that $5,000 goes into your personal account. $1,250 of that should be put away for taxes, okay, in that example. I already talked about using QuickBooks, and you can also do it for your personal accounts to keep it separate. Very inexpensive program and easy to use. But the key to success on the financial side, and a lesson learned from me, is that you must pay yourself a consistent salary to run your business like a business. So knowing every penny that you make is very important, and not necessarily as far as what you're spending out there, but when you put your money and you're taking an actual salary that you're doing and you're putting a budget together, it's so important for you to keep and stay and remain in your own world, if you would. I see some agents, they get a good month and they'll get $20,000 in commission checks, and the next thing you know, they're buying, plasma TVs and Rolex watches and everything else, and then the next 3 months they don't have a check coming in. So what I've done is I've always put that money in an operating account and paid myself a consistent salary over a 13-week period, and then evaluate that account at the end of 13 weeks. If it's up, then I'm going to take a raise. If it's down, I have to take a decrease in pay. But that's how you avoid the ups and downs of your income in this business. Especially at this time of the year, a lot of you know that sometimes December and January in some markets are really down, and you find a lot of them in February and March not having a check. It's because they didn't have that reserve put aside, or they're not paying themselves on a consistent basis. So you want to make sure that you're definitely putting money aside for yourself there. So that was the financial question, and let's see what else we have here. We have.
Willie, there are a few questions that have popped up that my screen was
Oh, good.
frozen, so let me know when you're ready for those.
All right, why don't we go ahead and attack those?
Okay, Rich types in, do you put them on a drip email campaign while you are trying to reach them?
Okay, so a drip email campaign is something that I've done. I got 18 different emails, Rich, that I have. But basically, where those emails came from, there was a book that I wrote with a bunch of other Diamond Mastermind members, and we had 18 agents, and we all did a chapter. Say, I'll just give you the buyer side. I'm on experts on buying a home, right? So that was the name of the book. You can go on Amazon and see it. And it was 18 chapters. So what I did is I had 18 of those chapters put in a PDF format, and I did 18 separate emails. So every week, my buyers, they get a video email from me, which is very important, Rich. So if you go to bombbomb.com, or if you go to iJot, the letter E and JOT.com, it's free. BombBomb, I think, is $20 a month. But as soon as that lead hits your CRM or top producer or whatever, you want to be able to automatically launch this video to them that basically just thanks them for coming onto the website, and that you've been able to help other buyers in your market area, or hundreds of buyers depending on what your situation is. If you're a newer agent, don't feel bad about that. Just take a look at what your company's done, right? You could say, hey, thanks for coming on my website. My company and I have sold hundreds of homes over the years, and I have some great information that I'd like to give to you. I find that the best client is the educated client. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you this free report. So you actually have a link on that first email that goes out to them, and you give them a free report. Maybe it's on 6 biggest buyer mistakes when buying a home. If it's a seller, maybe it's the 27 home seller tips that you give to them. And then after that, Rich, you put them on an email that comes to them every week automatically. And you can do that within BombBomb. It's called a sequence. So you could just put that lead or email into that into the sequence, and it automatically for the next 18 weeks they will get a drip email campaign from you directly with a call to action to call you. So that's how we've done it, and we continue to do it that way. We just started, Rich, just experimenting with doing a video blog, and some of you might have already seen it. If you go onto my Facebook page, you'll see it, where every 2 weeks now we send out a video blog. So let's say for the course of the year, we got 12 months in a year. Every month they're going to get market update. So they're going to get a market update as one of the emails. It's about 3 or 4 minute video. And then I'm going to do 6 buyer videos, and I'm going to do 6 seller videos. And it's going to be tips or questions that I get from my buyers and sellers. And I'm just going to put on there. So the one that I just did a few weeks ago was, Willie, should I list my home now here in the winter months, or should I wait till the spring market to sell my home? So I went through and I gave the advantages and disadvantages of both. And it was a quick video. You can go to YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to that. It's Willie Miranda on YouTube, and you'll see some of my videos on there that have those videos on there. So video is something that I think that a lot of people don't use. I think emails are starting to get a little stale, and people delete them, especially the long emails. You want to keep these emails short and quick, like you're talking to a friend, but you want to keep it in front of them. But I think you'll find more effectiveness using video email as well, especially in that initial video that you send out to them. Okay, next one.
Rich also types in, are you paying her to listen to the James McDonald calls?
Am I paying her? Yeah, it's part of her training, Rich. It's something that she came on as really a full-time employee. We have those, that many leads that she needs to be calling on. So she's an employee, so I have to pay her to come in and train. So she's not a 1099 employee. Some agents do pay their inside salespeople 1099, and you could do that. But if you're requiring them to come in at a certain time, use your computer, be in your office, and you're managing them like an employee, chances are you're going to get busted on that eventually. So I always, I make them an employee, and I do pay them for training.
Okay, Karen had asked, am I leaving a message on the 4 calls?
Yes, Karen, we do. Okay, like I said before, I don't think there's a wrong or right answer to that. I feel that I've already made the call, and I just have my assistant or my ISA go ahead and leave that quick message. But I don't give a lot of detail. I just say, hey, this is, she'll say, hey, this is Robin O'Brien at Miranda Real Estate Group. Could you please give me a call back, and leaves the phone number. And people are inquisitive. What do they want, right? So when they call back, she just says, hey, thank you very much. This is just a courtesy call. Wanted to follow up. You came on our website, and, I want to make sure you got the special report. Had a couple questions for you, and it goes from there, right? So it goes right into the universal callback script. Are you looking to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months? And she's off to the races. So she does get return phone calls, and surprisingly has been getting a lot of them because she's been leaving a lot of messages and has been getting a lot of return phone calls. So that's a good sign that the leads that we're getting are very good, and because we call them back so quickly, they want the information and they're calling right back. So it's really good. A good source to do it. So I would definitely do it myself, Karen, and you'll definitely see some callbacks from it.
So we have another question from Adele. How do you shoot your videos for YouTube?
Well, the nice thing is you could do it right off. I have an iPhone 6 Plus, so I've done these. There's an app that BombBomb has where you can just do it on your regular video on your phone. And when you do the video, actually I'm on my phone right now, I'm looking at it. When you shoot the video off your phone, and you can get a little tripod for your phone as well, or you could just do like a selfie if you wanted to. And on that video, when you do it, it'll say one of the options when you're done, if you want to upload that to YouTube, right? So you can upload that right to YouTube and send it off that way. It's just you hit that little arrow with the box, and if you scroll over, it says YouTube. You could send it there. You could send it to Facebook, and there's a couple other ones that are on there. But that's how we send them. You get a you get a YouTube account first, set up your channel, and then set it up that way, and you're good to go. So you could literally do a video within 3 or 4 minutes, upload it, and then send that link to your customer via email or even a text. And I've had people respond and are like, the reason why they call me back was because they got a video from me, and the 4 other agents, either text them, left them a message, or just kept calling their phone without leaving a message, and annoyed them because they kept calling. So the video definitely sets you apart from the rest of the competition.
Okay, we have no further questions pending.
Okay, great. All right, how are we doing on time? All right, we got a few more minutes. All right, so Nancy has a great question on here. My biggest challenge is time management and finding a balance between family, business, personal and business, the business life. Any suggestions or resources that can help is greatly appreciated. Yeah, this is one of the we probably had every time we send out a survey and ask about what their challenges are, this is probably 50 to 60% of people talk about is time management. How do you have enough time in a day to get everything done? What type of schedule should you be following? What do you do in the morning? What do you do at night? How do you balance having a great business but also being, a great father, a great husband, a great mother, a great wife? How do you balance it all? And it's something that's very, I got to say, it's very serious, because looking at some of the divorce rates, I want to say real estate agents are 1 or 2 in that category of having the highest divorce rates in the U.S. So I'm sure you could look that up on Google somewhere, but I've seen that stat before, and I've heard about it over and over again, and it doesn't surprise me, because some of the real estate agents out there, they'll work 7 days a week, 16-hour days, and they just don't have that balance. You're just working. So you need to have that. You definitely need to have that balance. It starts with goals. What's your big why? What gets you up in the morning? What's your purpose, right? We talked about that on the last call. And then from there, you can structure your week, what I call the perfect week, right? Structure your perfect week. And there's no such thing as a perfect week. Things change, things happen, meetings come up, sellers are demanding, buyers are demanding. But if you have a structure every week that you get up Sunday morning and here's what I have for the week, here's what I need to do for prospecting and callback time, here's what I want to do for my family, here's date night with my husband or my wife, here's things I want to do with the kids or go to their games or whatever the situation may be. That is something that I learned early on, how to really manage that. And one of the great resources that I used was a book from Dan Kennedy, actually, the No BS to Time Management. You could pull it up on Amazon, the No BS to Time Management by Dan Kennedy. And he really talks about it from a business level, working from home, working at different areas, Being in the office sometimes a huge distraction, not wasting time. And if you think about all the time that you waste during the day, you're taking that time away from your family and from your personal life. So there is a great resource, and this is a webinar that we did a few months back, which was a time management webinar that I got tons of great feedback on and probably over 1,000 views on. And there have some templates that you can actually download, and actually download my template for the daily. I have a daily to-do list that we use, and you can download that there. You can download a time management thing that Craig gave me years ago, where we had to go ahead and put every 15 minutes of the day what we did that time, and actually at the end of 2 weeks, look at all the time that we wasted by actually looking at what you spent your time on. And so this is the website here. If you can see the URL here, is topproducingagentsecrets.com. Topproducingagentsecrets.com. And you can just go right on there and get an instant replay. And it also has the ability for you to download the information. But we threw this out to our local agents here at my MLS, shared with them as well, and got some great feedback. Developing your perfect week was a big one. Email management, right? All the emails that over, throughout the day, and how to manage that, but also effective time blocking. And that's what it really comes down to, And one thing I could say is that when it comes to prospecting, you got to have at least 2 hours a day built into your schedule somewhere. Maybe it's an hour in the morning, hour at night, 2 hours at night, 2 hours in the morning, but you got to have that proactivity in your schedule in order to be a successful agent. And if you can't do it, then you have to hire an inside salesperson to do it. But think about it as a listing appointment. You would never, pick up your phone or answer an email or do anything on a listing appointment. Treat your prospecting time as a listing appointment. Shut your email off. Shut your phone off if you can, or if you're dialing from it, then I guess you can't, but use another phone or a landline, and just concentrate on making those follow-up calls for that time block, and you'll see very quickly you're going to get more appointments, more conversions, more appointments, and obviously more sales as a result of that. So topproducingagentsecrets.com. Let me know. Shoot me an email. Let me know what your feedback is on that. But that's a great resource for you. So Nancy, hopefully that was what you're looking for, and I'm sure you'll find everything you need, hopefully, on that webinar. All right, so last slide here. If you want to get a free chapter of my book today, very easy to do. All you have to do is go to therealestatebusinessbook.com, therealestatebusinessbook.com. It was an Amazon bestseller just last month. Thanks to a lot of you on this call. I want to thank you very much. Got a lot of great feedback on it. I've been talking to a lot of teams also around the country on the book and some of the chapters that are in that book. And it's an easy read, and definitely something that whether you're a new agent in the business or an agent 20, 30 years in the business, there's definitely a lot of great little nuggets in there that you could take out to help improve your business and get it to the next level. So that's all I have. I think I'm doing pretty good on time, right on time at 5:01. Andrea, any last questions there?
No, there's nothing in the queue.
All right, great. So with that, Andrea, as always, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming on today's call. And you'll be getting an email for our next call, which should be in a couple weeks. And I'm actually looking at my calendar. Probably should have gave you guys this before, but I think we're looking at on the 11th, Thursday the 11th, to be our next call. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great week, and we will talk to you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.